You can't change other people. You can change your reaction to them. You can change yourself, but other people only change through trauma or their own insight on their own schedule, and never in a way that you like.
Yeah, Alain de Botton says that people do sometimes change, but rarely in relationships and never when they're told to.
Absolutely. Yeah. The fastest way to kind of alienate somebody is to tell them to change. In fact, the Dale Carnegie School of Public Speaking, the way that operates is, they get you up there and they realize that the number one problem with public speaking is, that, people are very self-conscious. And so, people who are practicing in the Dale Carnegie School of Public Speaking, I don't know, I never went through it. I heard this secondhand, so I could be wrong, but I like the story where they get up and they start speaking and the people in the audience are only allowed to compliment them. Genuine compliments, not fake compliments on things that they did well, but you're not allowed to criticize them on things that they did poorly. And eventually they kind of get through it and they develop self-confidence. The same way, there's like the Michelle Thomas School of Language Learning. And on that one, what they do is you listen to a teacher talking to a student. They're not teaching you. You're not expected to remember or memorize anything. You just listen to a student stumbling over the language. And it's a better way to learn because you yourself don't feel flustered. You're being tested, graded.
Oh, so you're not in your own head as much.
Correct. You're not in your own head, and you might even be laughing at the student, or you might be agreeing with the teacher, or vice versa, or sympathizing with the student. But because you are a passive observer, you can be more objective about it, and you aren't threatened or fearful, and you can learn better. And coming back to the original point of you can't change people. If you do want to change someone's behavior, I think the only effective way to do it is to compliment them when they do something you want, not to
positive reinforcement.
Yeah, exactly. Not to insult them or be negative or critical when they do something you don't want. And we can't help it. It's obviously in our nature to criticize, and I do it as well. But it just reminds me that, like, when somebody does something praiseworthy, don't forget to praise them. Like, definitely go out of your way to praise. And it'll be genuine. It has to be genuine. It can't be a fake thing. This is not, one of those, just dropping compliments type thing. Eventually that people will see through that. They want authenticity, but just don't forget to praise people when they do something praiseworthy, and you'll get more of that behavior.
There was a really famous thread on Reddit about 5 questions to ask yourself if you're uncertain about your relationship. One of the questions was, are you truly in love with your partner, or just their potential or the idea of them? And that's they show such great promise. They look at their ability for change and growth. They're on the right path.
The partner matching thing is so hard. When people come and ask me, like, oh, should I be with this person? I'm like, well, if you're asking me, the answer is clearly no, right? Because you wouldn't have to ask if you were with the right person. Or when you ask someone, like, why they're in a relationship with somebody and they start reading out his or her resume, right? That's also a bad sign.
What do you mean?
Oh, it's like, oh, we have so much in common. We like to golf together. It's like, it's not a basis for a relationship. Or, oh, she's a ballerina, or, he went to Harvard, or what have you. These are resume items. So that's not who the person actually is.
What's a better answer?
I just love being with this person. I just trust them. I enjoy being around them. I love how capable he is. I love how kind she is.
I love her spirit. I love his energy. The more materially and concretely definable the reasons are you're together, the worse they are.
The ineffable is actually where the sort of true love lies.
Because real love is a form of unity. It's a form of connection. It's connecting spirits. Oh, you too? My consciousness meets your consciousness. It's the underlying drive in love, in art, in science, in mysticism is the desire for unity. It's the desire for connection. As, Borges famously wrote, in every human there's a sense that something infinite has been lost. There's a God-shaped hole in you that you're trying to fill. Mm-hmm. And so we're always trying to find that connection. Love is trying to find it in one other person and saying, okay, you're male, I'm female, or whatever, and whatever your predilections are, and now we connect. Now we form a whole, a connected whole. Or in mysticism, it's like it's all about, okay, sit down, meditate, and you'll feel the whole. In science, it's like, atoms bouncing is mechanics, but that generates heat. So thermodynamics and motion or kinetics are one combined theory. That's a whole. Electricity and magnetism are one thing. That's the whole. Creates that sense of awe. In art, it's like I feel an emotion, I create a piece of art around it, and then you see that painting, or you see the Sistine Chapel, or you read the poem, and you feel that emotion. So again, it's creating unity. It's creating connection. And I think everybody craves that. And so when you really love somebody, it's because you feel a sense of wholeness by being around them, and that sense of wholeness probably doesn't have anything to do with what school they went to, or what career they're in.
Just sort of tying that into the life is short, stop fucking about. If you're faced with a difficult choice and you cannot decide, the answer is no, and the reason is modern society is full of options.
Yeah.
Knowing this rationally sounds great, but having the courage to commit to it in reality, I think, is a different task. And cutting your losses quickly in the big three: relationships, jobs, and locations, is hard. What would you say to someone who may cerebrally be able to agree with you and say, I understand the answer is no?
My cousin said this about me. He said that, what I really notice about you is your ability to walk away from situations that are just not great enough for you, or not good enough for you.
Yes.
And I think that is a characteristic that I have. Well, I will not accept second best outcomes in my life. Ultimately, you will end up wherever is acceptable to you. You will get out of life whatever is acceptable to you. And there are certain things to me that are very, very important where I will not settle for second best. But then there are a lot of other things I just don't care about. Because if I spend all my time caring about those things, I don't have the energy for the few things that matter. And so in decision making, I have a few heuristics for myself. Other people can use their own, but mine are: if you can't decide, the answer is no. If you're offered an opportunity, if you have a new thing that you're saying yes or no to that is a change from where you're starting, the answer is by default always no.
Secondly, if you have two decisions, if you have A or B, and both seem like very equal, take the path that's more painful in the short term. The one that's going to be painful immediately, because your brain is always trying to avoid pain. So any pain that is imminent, it is going to treat as much larger than it actually is.
This is kind of like a decision-making equivalent of Taleb's surgeon.
Tell a surgeon where you want the surgeon that doesn't look as good because he's more likely to be a good surgeon. Yeah, it's similar in that appearances are deceiving because you're avoiding conflict, you're avoiding pain. So take the path that is more painful in the short term, because your brain is creating this illusion that the short-term pain is greater than the long-term pain. Because long-term, you'll commit your future self to all kinds of long-term pain.
Mañana.
Exactly, mañana. So take the more short-term painful one. And then finally, the last one, which I would credit Kapil Gupta with, is that you want to take the choice that will leave you more equanimous in the long term. By equanimous, he means like more at peace, more mental peace in the long term. So whatever clears your mind more and will have you having less self-talk in the future, if you can model that out, that is probably the better route to go. And then I would focus decision-making down on the three things that really matter, because everything else is downstream of these three decisions. Especially, these are early life decisions. Later in life, you have different things to optimize for, but early in life, you're trying to figure out who you're with, what you're doing, and where you live. And I think on all three of those, you want to think pretty hard about it. And people do some of these unconsciously. Who you're with, very often it's like, well, we were in a relationship, we stumbled along, it felt okay, it had been enough time, so we got married, right? Not great reasons. Maybe not terrible reasons either. I mean, it's people who overthink these things sometimes don't get the right answer, but maybe here, if you're the kind of person that's not going to settle for second best, you iterate on a closed time frame so you don't run out the clock, and then you decide. On what you do, you try a whole bunch of different things until you find the one that feels like play to you, looks like work to others, you can't lose at it. Get some leverage, try to find some practical application of it, and go into that. And then where you live is really important. I don't think people spend enough time on that one. I think people pick cities randomly based on where I went to school, or where my family happened to be, or where my friend was, or I visited one weekend, I really liked it. You really want to think it through, because where you live really constrains and defines your opportunities. It's going to determine your friend circle. It's going to determine your dating pool. It's going to determine your job opportunities. It's going to determine the food and air and water quality that you receive. It's going to determine your proximity to your family, which might be important as you get older and have kids. So very, very, very important decision. Weather, quality of life, how much do you stay inside or outside, how long you'll live based on that. And I think people choose that one probably more poorly than, they put a lot less thought into that one than the other two.
In some ways, yeah, but also you're so right. How many people fall backward into a relationship and before they know it, we're living together. We got a dog. We got a kid. We were married. And
yeah, and then when you have kids, because then that's half of you and half of them running around, you're never going to separate yourself from that. So once you have a child with somebody, then the most important thing in the world to you is half that other person, whether you like them or not.
Yeah. Jeffrey Miller had a tweet a long time ago that I always think about, and he said, every parenting book in the world could be replaced with one book on behavioral genetics.
I'm a big believer in genetics. Yes, I do think a lot of behavior is downstream of genetics, and I think we underplay that. We like to overplay nurture and underplay nurture underplay nature for societal reasons. But nature is a big deal. The temperament of the person you marry is probably going to be reflected in your child by default. People can
change. If you want a securely attached kid, pick a securely attached partner.
Well, the secret to a happy relationship is two happy people, right? So I would say if you want to be happy, then be with a happy person. Don't think you're going to be with someone who's unhappy and then make them happy down the road. Or if you're okay with them being unhappy, but there are other things you like about them, that's fine. But this goes back to the not trying to change
for their unhappiness with other things.
Yeah. And actually, we talked a little bit about how people do connect successfully, on spirit and those things, but that's maybe a little too abstract. If you want to get a little more practical, it could be based on values. And values are a set of things you won't compromise on. Values are the tough decisions of, oh, my parent got sick. Do they move in with us or do we put them in a nursing home? Do we give the children money or do we not? Do we move across the country to be closer to our family or do we stay put where we are? Do we argue about politics? Do we care or do we not? Right? The values are way more important than checklist items. And I think if people were to align much more on their values, they would have much more successful relationships.
The emotional pain of fearing change. I have this thing, the job, the location, the partner. I'm going to enter or not enter this thing. For the most part, it's leaving. I think we have this sort of loss aversion that we really feel.
Evolved loss aversion. It's just painful separating yourself in front of your friends. It's embarrassing. And
how would you advise people to get past themselves with that loss aversion, that fear of change? Oh my God, am I going to...
Yeah, it's the hardest thing in the world. Starting over. It's back to the 0 to 1 thing. It's the mountain climbing thing. You're not going to find your path to the top of the mountain in the first go around. Sometimes you go up there, you get stuck and you come back down. And the difference between all the successful people and the ones who are not is the ones who are successful want it so badly they're willing to go back and start over again and again, whether in their career or in their relationships or in anything else.